take statement first with Coach, and then we will take questions. Coach?
Yeah, I mean, congrats to Nebraska. Heck of a team, man. I told Fred before the game I admire the way they play. You got a bunch of guys who are just a collection of their parts. I mean, it's really refreshing to watch, and the purity that they play, the joy they play with, the toughness they play with, and you saw firsthand today. You know, it's why they're 18-0, and we're just not at that level. You know, thought we played pretty well for 20 minutes, and then in the second half, I thought they wore us down, and we just haven't been mentally tough enough to kind of fight through those situations, unfortunately, you know, in our league games. And it's kind of been a common theme, and we're going to continue to work on it. And but, you know, I thought that second half, when the game got away from us, their toughness and kind of togetherness and kind of resolve just was able to wear us down over time.
Questions? Matt?
Coach, this was Arrington's first scoreless game he's played for you guys. Didn't even take a shot. Was on the bench for the last 17:30 of the game. Why has he struggled lately, and why was he out of the lineup for so long?
Yeah, I just didn't feel he was playing that well. It was a tough matchup. They were playing five guards, you know, with the way they play five out, and you know, it just I don't know. Be probably a good question for him. But we're going to stick with him and obviously hopefully get him ready to play on Wednesday night. Just wasn't his night tonight, and you know, was just trying to find a group out there that was going to be able to put the fight out that we needed to try to get back in the game.
When you had that game cut to like 5 in the second half,
Mm-hmm.
in that moment, what do you need and how do you go and find it?
Yeah, we just got to be tougher. You know, we talk about it all the time, and not physical toughness. It's a mental toughness, right? Everyone's getting a little tired. Both teams are playing really hard, and we just seem to break down in those moments. And if I knew the answer, you know, I think we probably would have fixed it. But, you know, you try to continue to talk to these guys about those moments and fighting through toughness and fighting through some adversity and a little bit fatigue in the game. And, you know, it's really been our downfall, and it's why the record is where it is, because we are putting together stretches of games where we're actually playing some real good ball, moving the ball, taking good shots. You know, we really just haven't shot the ball very well at all, which has surprised me. I didn't see that coming, you know, with the guys that are out there and the way we were this summer and the fall. The poor shooting has been a surprise, but you can overcome that, you know, by being tough and gritty and finding a way. And we're going to keep at it. I mean, I told the guys, nobody's letting go of the rope. It's been a really difficult stretch, obviously a difficult week, 3 games in 6 days, starting with the Rutgers game, which was a really tough way to lose. And then you come home against 2 of the best teams in the country and, you know, you battle, but you come up short. So the guys need a day off. They need to get out of here, you know, not be in the gym for a day, and everyone needs to clear their heads and come back on Monday before we go to the West Coast and try to figure some things out.
Yeah, Coach, you know, it feels like Trey's really making an impact on some games like he did today. And then, you know, not as much in others, which is understandable for a young player. But I'm curious from a coaching perspective, you know, what kind of is the key to turning young talents like Trey into, you know, more consistent night in, night out?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I think a lot of it is experience. You know, and you look, started 2 freshmen today, which in today's day and age of college basketball, there's a big learning curve because so many teams are so old. You know, like, you know, Sam Hoiberg's a 5th-year guy. You know, I mean, Rink Mast is a 5th-year guy. You know, these guys are older. Buchentel is a 5th-year guy. You know, these guys they're older. You know, they weren't playing any true freshmen. And I'm not saying, I mean, they're a really good team, but for a guy like Trey to play against these teams and see what it takes and hopefully learn game by game. And then the goal is to continue to get better, right? So you want to be at the end of the year where you feel like you're growing from these games and learning from these games and understanding what it takes to your point, be there night in and night out as an impact player.
But kind of on the point of freshman Jake West making his second start of his career back-to-back, what have you seen from him that gives you kind of the faith in him to be starting these games and having significant minutes?
Yeah, I just like the way he fights. He's a scrappy guy. Obviously he's got to get stronger. He's got to get more experienced and seasoned and learn how to continue to run a team and all those things that it takes for a freshman point guard. I'm not comparing him, but I remember playing against Braden Smith as a freshman and now what he looks like as a senior. It's a vastly superior player, and you get that by experience, and that's just one example. He was just came to mind. But, Jake is a tough-nosed guy. He works hard. He's competitive. He's going to stick his nose in there and scrap and be tough, and that's what we need right now. And, that's why he's been rewarded with the minutes he's gotten.
Coach, overtime game against Rutgers, but giving up 75-plus points in every Big Ten game this season. What do you see as the difference in the defensive execution between this season and past years without?
Yeah, I just think some of the key breakdowns. We were on track. 34 in the first half. Thought we put 20 minutes together. The second half of games, seems to be a little bit of a bugaboo. Part of that, I think, is a little bit of fatigue. Part of it is mental toughness, finding a way to get stops. We haven't been as dialed in with some of our rotations and our schemes, and and we work on them every single day. But we've had, and honestly, it's we've really struggled to keep the ball out of our paint. With the drive. I actually thought we did a really good job on Mast. But I thought in the second half when the game got away from us, it was their guards, that were really Hoiberg lived in our paint. Frager lived in our paint. Bryce Sanford was able to get into our paint. Jacobson was able to get in our paint. Lawrence, and what happens is it puts you in. If you give up straight line drives, it puts you in severe rotation opportunities. And against a team that shares it and shoots it like they do, you're going to be in trouble. So we got to do a better job keeping the ball out of our paint. The second chance points has been an issue, at times. We know that. I think we've gotten a little bit better with that. But I think it's a combination of a lot of ththings. But at the end of the day, I just think it's the mental toughness. I feel like our minds are in the right spot. I think the guys want to do well. We haven't had the resolve that we've needed in these conference games to have the grit to be able to get those stops, which is frustrating.
A couple more questions, Gavin.
Coach, back to Jake West a little bit. Now making his second start, it seems like a lot of the big difference has been on the defensive end. Seemingly much more passable, able to stand his ground against larger offensive players. What have you seen as kind of the biggest difference in that from him at the start of the year, where guys were really just bullying him down? He's now more able to
I think the more you play against it, you kind of, and he's worked hard. He's a hard worker. He's gotten in the weight room. He's gotten stronger in that end. But a lot of it is just learning how to play with your chest, right, and understanding at this level you can't really play like that in high school. Everything's a foul. But learning that, get into a spot and be able to use your chest and, keep a guy in front of you. And he's a scrappy fighter, man. Jake's, he's a competitive dude. And so if things aren't, he's going to try to figure out how to be better. And he's going to be a really good player. I'm both him and Trey. It's hard to pin a lot on them right now. They're young kids going through the gauntlet of the Big Ten in a really good league. And especially for Jake, man, look at the point guards in this league. It's as good top to bottom as you're going to find ever. You got older, seasoned, veteran guys at that position that, these are great learning experiences for him playing against those players.
When you look at Nebraska, you talked about these are fifth-year guys. These guys that played a lot of basketball. And obviously, you can't snap your fingers and give your team the experience that they have. But how do you balance the emotion of, this is something that your team needs to go through versus it stinks to take losses like that?
Yeah, you live in the now, so you're competing for the now, and that's what's tough. And, the things that they bring are all things that we've prided ourselves. Even Fred and I were talking before the game, watching them play, and we were never 18-0, but just watching how they play remind me a lot of our best teams, where everybody was just locked in and helping each other out and playing off of each other. And, we haven't been able to find that with this group. And ultimately that's my responsibility, and we're going to keep at it. We got to keep talking about it. We got to keep working at it and understanding, man. I mean, I know as brutal as it's been in 7 games, it's rough. You don't win for 7 games. Trust me, it ain't fun. It ain't fun for anybody. But we got 13 of these things left, and we gotta try to find a way to win one. And if we do, kids are kids, man. All of a sudden you get a little confidence, you get a little momentum, and maybe 1 can string into 2 and 2 into 3. And, that's the challenge for us right now. We got to keep them together. But also understand why we're struggling, and we got to really meet that head on and get better in those areas. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thanks. All right, we're here with Trey and Nick. Are there any questions for both these guys? Hello?
Tread, just for you, obviously a tough start to your Big Ten career. How do you learn and grow from this kind of moment?
Yeah, I think you just got to take every loss in and just do some self-reflection and, just try to get better each game.
Trey, obviously your best Big Ten game today. How were you able to score so efficiently, and how do you think you can carry that momentum into that California road trip?
I think the main thing was that my teammates just found me and got me some good looks. And I think the best way to take it into this trip is to just keep trusting in my teammates and letting them do what they do.
Yeah.
For both of you, Coach talked about kind of a physical and a mental toughness that he said the team was lacking. Moving forward and trying to fix that, correct that. What does that look like for you guys, and how do you, implement the changes necessary to turn the season around?
Yeah, I think it just starts in practice. Something we got to just keep harping on.
For both of you, Coach Collins talked about Nebraska's togetherness and how he felt like that kind of carried them in that second half. How, even with the tough stretch like this, how do you guys make sure that you keep that togetherness in your own locker room?
Yeah, just like Nick said, I think everything just starts in practice and even off the floor. You have to build a lot of good habits to be able to win this league, and any little thing is going to cause you to lose. So just sticking together through thick and thin.
Trey had some struggles from 3. I believe you missed 23 in a row dating back to November. What is your mindset and conversation with coaches to get out of that?
I put in a lot of work on my shot, and it's unfortunate that I can't get it to fall right now, but I know if I just keep working on it, it'll eventually drop. So just staying positive.
For either of you, obviously as front court players, you've seen Tyler Kropp in practice, got some pretty decent run today. What did you see from him, especially against a front court as big as Nebraska's?
I think he's going to be quite the player. He always comes with a good attitude, and he's super strong. So if he just keeps working, keeps his head down, I really think he's going to be a good player for us.
Any more questions? All right, that wraps us up. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.